Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side, he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead. Or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of men on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Welcome back to the Logbook podcast, and tonight we have some breaking news. There was a committee hearing on veteran affairs, and we're going to cover that this week.
Oh, my word.
But we actually have a special guest with us. We brought in over from Conservative Sisters, Mama Sally. How are you doing tonight, Miss Sally?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about y'all?
Oh, pretty good.
We're fantastic.
And thank you for inviting me over here tonight. It's a joy to be here.
Oh, it's always a joy to have you with us, Sally.
Definitely. I just have to take a moment to share is that every time we actually do our podcast in our StreamYard network, we get to watch the faces of all of our guests. And I love every single time when our guest goes on and they watch that video. They go like, yes, that's true. And I get to watch the reactions. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about why our introduction is so very important, especially to me, is that when I was in the military, I had a friend who was in the combat casualty unit with me. And he brought me that video and he said, look what my friend made for me. And you can tell that error of that video is actually when Dakota and I served, which was actually under Obama.
Yes, the great and fearless leader, Barack Obama. But yeah, it was not a fun time in the military during his administration. And thing is, if any of us had known that Trump would have been president, I don't think a lot of us would have gotten out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a choice.
I know you didn't have a choice.
I tried to stay in.
But the thing is, like after seeing the Trump era military, just like I got out 6 months too soon. That's real damper on it.
But I know that there is a Marine there in the picture, Miss Sally, with an amputee, and he's a Marine. You can see him sitting up and smiling. It was an actual pleasure to actually meet that Marine while I was in service. And so that our introduction actually means personally a lot to me.
Awesome.
It was a thank you to the people in the C4 or C5 combat casualty care. So I think
And
that's
everybody in all of our branches of military are so important. Being a military brat, I've seen my dad and my uncles, my cousins all serve, and for some reason I wasn't allowed to serve, but I serve my country in a different way now. So
right.
you know what? I'm military through and through, even though I didn't get to serve. But they have my utmost respect.
Well, we actually know you do. You've been a very active supporter of us, and we just like to say thank you. And you've been a little bit of an activist for the military as well, especially concerning the GRAP scandal. So we really do appreciate you.
See something, say something.
Exactly. So we have that Senate hearing. Do you want to go ahead or?
Yes. But first, a word from our sponsors. Has the day gotten you down? Are you tired of hearing about how your government is performing the totalitarian tango right under your nose and slowly encroaching on your freedoms? Maybe it's time to see your doctor and talk about taking once daily fuck it all. Fuck it all. For when it's just too much. Side effects may include easier breathing, heavier alcohol use, and one or several existential crises. Fuck it all. Try it out today. All right, now, folks, let's go ahead and get into that video.
Actually, we would like to promote a good friend of ours, a real business, American Veteran Roofing and Restoration, guys. They're out here in Houston. If you need your roof checked, if you want a great service, someone that'll help you out, fair pricing, military discounts, head on over to American Veteran Roofing and Restoration.
Awesome.
Yeah, talk to Danny Bird. He's a great guy, Army veteran, and he will take care of you. He is thorough. He is in your corner. He's not trying to just get money from you. I mean, he's a businessman. Of course he's trying to get money for you. But the thing is, he is looking out for one of your most expensive assets you have, and that's your home.
Exactly.
And he's the right person to put it into his hands.
If you want to see the quality of his work, check our feed. He talks about how a lot of roofing companies will scam you, and he will actually show you the quality of his work. So again, American Veteran Roofing and Restoration. All right, let's get into it.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up. Present, share screen, and then Microsoft Edge tab, and full committee and hearing oversight of the Veterans Affairs Department.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations first hearing of the 118th Congress. I'm honored to be the chairwoman of this subcommittee, and I look forward to working with Ranking Member Mervan, who's on his way, and my colleagues to accomplish some real work for veterans this year. As a former Navy helicopter pilot and geriatric nurse practitioner who has worked in the VA system, I can speak to the importance of accountability. As a naval aviator, I was accountable for the success of my mission and the safety and well-being of my crew and passengers. As a nurse practitioner, I was accountable for the success of my mission to provide my patients high-quality care. A culture of accountability allowed me and my teams to succeed. When accountability fails, the team falters, and in the VA's case, good employees and veterans suffer. The Department of Veteran Affairs is a truly massive entity. It has over 400,000 employees, thousands of medical centers and clinics, and serves millions of veterans a year.
I got a question. I've noticed that there's this kind of thing of, I get it, of saying who I am and helicopter pilot and all that stuff. But what I've noticed is that is the same freaking culture within the veteran affairs community. And when you're going in there and you actually have stuff you have to do, And they use that as an excuse a lot. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
I'm this, I'm that, and I'm like, it's not about you. I really don't care.
don't care about what you did in
Well,
whatever.
a lot of times they want you to put your credentials out there so that you have can show you have some authority.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I can see that for
You have knowledge.
Right. But right at now in the state of our country where I'm out of that, every time I hear someone say that, oh, you mean you're part of the problem? Because look how old you are. And the VA has been like this for years before you were even born.
Decades.
Yep. So when you sit there and you have flash your credentials nowadays, to me, it's like, I know there's a kind of bias. Yes, I do thank you for your service, but what you're saying isn't helping your case. It's just dirtying it.
So it's just that. So as a veteran, as a helicopter pilot, former helicopter pilot in the U.S. Armed Services, you knew you were out way before when the VA was a lot worse. I mean, it's not good now, but it was worse, way worse, and you didn't do shit.
Yeah, and there was that movie in the 90s with Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh no, I can't. It wasn't Sam Jackson. It was some other dude. But
yeah, no, it was Samuel L. Jackson.
Was it? Huh?
Yeah, when he sits there and he throws his leg on the counter.
Oh, that was him. Okay.
Then
yeah, it was Kevin Costner too. Article 99.
Article 99.
Article 99, and about how a bunch of Vietnam vets couldn't get care, so they ended up barricading a VA hospital so that the one doctor, the one surgeon who actually cared about helping people, could perform an open heart surgery illegally.
And you know,
Yep.
so it's like, do you remember that movie, Sally?
I do remember that movie.
Right.
I wasn't. Well, I'm not so old that I don't remember it, but I am significantly older than you.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just that I'm looking at this lady, and you have movies like that came out, and we're still in the same problems.
You know, we should think about doing a watch party of Article 99.
Article 99.
Yeah, Article 99 watch.
You know who this woman reminds me of? Just sitting here looking at her,
Huh.
Medusa. No, sorry.
Okay, let's get on with this.
Why no one's speaking up?
We'll see how many snakes in her head she's got.
Let's go.
Oh.
All right. Go ahead and start it.
Here. An organization of that size can only work if there is a high level of accountability from the top to the bottom. Unfortunately, VA has struggled with this. At the Miles City Community Living Center in Montana, a physical therapist and nursing staff were found to have abused a patient on 2 occasions. When the patient refused physical therapy, the physical therapist and nurse forcibly lifted the veteran and made the veteran walk without their walker. The veteran suffered skin tears and bruising as a result. As a nurse practitioner, this is appalling behavior. But what concerns me as much as the abuse is that the nurses involved were also cited in incidents that happened in 2018 and 2020. Why were these employees allowed to continue working at VA? Why did those nurses who witnessed this abuse not raise concerns? In Detroit, at the John D. Dingle VA Medical Center, a VA Office of Medical Inspector report found that quality assurance and quality management process was manipulated so that senior leadership colluded with the chief of surgery during investigations. The chief of surgery was the subject of multiple investigations, tort claims, and poor outcomes over 4 years, but remained in the position until September 2021. Fellow employees did not raise concerns for fear of retaliation by the chief of surgery. At the Loma Linda VA Medical Center, a supervisory employee was found to have created a hostile work environment following dozens of complaints from VA whistleblowers. VA's 50-page investigative report recommended the supervisor be immediately removed. Despite this lengthy report and medical center leadership taking all the right steps, overly burdensome legal standards prevented the medical center from removing the supervisor. These examples demonstrate how a lack of accountability at the leadership and supervisory level can harm veterans and the VA's ability to recruit and retain top.
Wow. Didn't they just fire? They just fired the Oklahoma, didn't they? They just fired the director of the Oklahoma VA.
Yeah. And see who is it that's in his stead in term?
Justifiably so, too, from what I hear.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, it's like the how long did it take? How many years did it take to get this guy fired? The Loma Linda.
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous, and these are only the stories that actually make it to the reporting process, because the majority of it, we called the OIG ourselves. We called the GOA. Heck, I was on the phone with the White House hotline today, and they actually admitted that get the VA Office Inspector General to take a report, nor could I get the Government Accountability Office to take a report. But when you call the White House hotline to make a complaint against it, they're like, oh, no, we can't do that there. You can't complain against the OIG or the GOA for not doing their job.
Why not?
That's what I want to know. Who the heck do we report to if we can't go to the VA?
Then who keeps them accountable? Other than, the people that they serve. If the people they serve can't keep them accountable, then who can?
Exactly.
Unfortunately, under all of the Democratic administrations, they don't like to be accountable for anything. And,
Yep.
I hate to bring it up, but for God's sakes, the Republicans at least try to listen, but none of the Democrat administrations, neither the Clintons, the Obamas, or even the Bush, Biden, they don't want any accountability.
I wouldn't say that the Republicans try to listen. I'd say they at least pretend to listen.
They will try to listen. It's just amazing.
We've actually gone to the Republican Party here in Houston, the Harris County Republican Party,
Mm-hmm.
and no, we didn't find any listening. They're just like, oh, we're so sorry, and they just gaff you off. But when you sit there and talk about a veteran issue and say there's a congressman there, they're like, oh, I'm listening, because it's like they get to rub shoulders. It's disgusting.
They're all there for themselves, is what it is. They're
But
they're not there to serve.
I would say there's a difference between the big city like we're in Houston, but versus there's a congressman up in the Clifton area.
Yeah, Boss County, Texas.
Yeah.
Their congressman actually has an avenue through his website where you can schedule a one-on-one face-to-face meeting with him to discuss your issues.
And it's that if you go out to like the sticks and everything, you'll actually get heard more. Whereas in a big city here, it's just like, nope, definitely not. So I would say it depends on where you go. So
yeah.
But anyways,
it's just staggering that somebody with this many credentials is sitting here telling all the horror stories. The one veteran Marine that they made get up and walk that had put more damages after he walked. It's like they're supposed to be a robot.
Yeah.
They're not a robot. They're a human being. And some people, given their injuries and the medicines that they are on, take longer to heal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that that's an interesting point, Sally, is that I think that's what they're some of the workers, not all of them. I've had some great VA workers. Amazing. One of my surgeons.
Yeah, one of the surgeons.
I love him to death. But I will say some of the mentality of or the culture within the VA of the majority that I've seen in my particular VA is that, they can boss us around like we're still in the military and that we have to follow their orders. And I've seen that culture. And I'm like, who the heck are you? I'm a civilian now. And that's been a big problem as well.
Yeah, and it's
not a processing line. It's not an assembly line.
Yeah. You're right.
You're not doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's like they have a quota they have to meet. They have so many veterans that they get in, they treat, and then you stay there for a while, and then you got to get the hell out. But you can't get them out till they can do certain things. So
Well, here's the thing. It's
quick processing.
I would go as far as to say, now this is just, conjecture on my part, that there is a quota put on the actual ground level doctors, nurses, and staff that's put on by individual management of each individual person, each individual VA hospital, each director, because those directors, they have to report numbers to Washington. And the thing is that they want to be looked on more favorably because those directors are in a position to be put into public office.
Or just get a bonus for, meeting quota. I'm pretty
bonus.
sure that's there. I can't confirm that. But it's just, if they fire these employees, everything, which Trump allowed that to happen within the VA to hold some level of accountability, then, that means they lose those numbers. But here's the thing, what's making a toxic culture within the VA is the bad people are allowed to stay. And the people that are trying to do good and do a good job, they're at the point that,
they're stuck, and they're at a point where it's pointless for them. So just like, why am I going to stay here? I really want to help people, but I can't help people here. So why stay here when I can go find a job somewhere else that'll actually align with my values?
Yeah, because no one's going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to report anything. Even if you do report it, no one's going to get in trouble.
You're more likely to get in trouble for reporting than the person who's actually doing the thing.
Yeah. Hey, Sally, you were saying something?
Yeah, even when I worked in a civilian nursing home, I had 8 residents to 1 me. I had all the males in the wing. And I was supposed to be chop, 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 chop. I wasn't supposed to take any time with any of the residents.
Wow.
And treat them like they're human.
Wow.
I was supposed to treat them like a piece of meat. Well, my daughter, when she worked for the VA,
wow,
in a small town where she lived, there were 10 to 1. 10 residents to 1 nurse or CNA.
That's overworking.
Yeah.
And she was told, you don't visit, you don't get to know them. You get in there, you do your business, and get out. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's keep going. See what else we've barely scratched the surface here. So let's get going with this. We can be pissed off about this all we want.
Right.
Talent. That is why Congress gave VA the authority to expeditiously remove employees for poor performance and misconduct. That authority, often called Section 714, has been challenged in the legal system. As a result, the VA has stopped using the authority for most, but not all employees. I'm concerned that exempting most of the VA workforce from swift accountability will not produce a better product for veterans. I hope to learn more today about what authorities the VA is using in lieu of Section 714 to quickly remove employees like those I referenced. I also hope to hear about how the VA is holding supervisors and other senior leaders accountable. Too often, recommendations for discipline of supervisors are changed or flat out ignored by the department. VA's mission is too important to get wrong. While the department has made some improvements, we cannot ignore the accountability of managers. Veterans deserve the very best from every VA across this country, and a highly accountable workforce is how the VA will deliver that to veterans. With that, I now recognize Ranking Member Mervan for his opening comments.
Thank you, Chairwoman Kiggins. With more than 400,000 employees nationwide and the second largest budget in the federal government, VA has a tremendous amount of responsibility. VA's chief responsibility, of course, is to deliver on its sacred mission of caring for and honoring our nation's veterans and their families, caregivers, and survivors. More than 90% of VA's workforce is employed by Veterans Health Administration. I've been fortunate to hear from many veterans that they love the care that they get from the VA, and I fully intend to do all I can to ensure that veterans continue to feel that way. Like any large organization, a especially one that serves millions of patients at more than 1,000 medical facilities nationwide, VHA is not immune from incidences of employee misconduct and sometimes serious lapses in patient safety or quality of care. It is our committee's responsibility to hold VA accountable for such failures. It is bad enough when veterans suffer harm as a result of such failures, but incidents like these are also harmful to the VA's workforce. Headline-grabbing incidents tarnish VA's reputation, crush employee morale, and compound VA's long-standing challenges with workforce recruitment and retention. Lapses in patient safety and serious employee misconduct are especially harmful to VA's clinical workforce at a time when our entire healthcare system is under strain from pandemic-related employee burnout. As we discussed at last week's full committee hearing, strong, stable leadership is the foundation upon which accountability is built. We also discussed the highly decentralized nature of the VHA and the governance challenges that have impeded its oversight and accountability. That is why last week I introduced the VHA Leadership Transformation Act, H.R. 1256. My legislation would depoliticize VHA by extending the term of the VA's Undersecretary for Health to 5 years. So VHA and its 380,000 employees will not have to endure leadership turnover with every change in presidential administration. My bill would also remove statutory restrictions on the qualification of senior executives at the VHA headquarters and give VA greater flexibility to determine the organizational structure of the Veteran Health Administration. Since coming to Congress just over 2 years ago, I have enjoyed the bipartisan culture of this committee. Healthcare isn't partisan, and veterans should be shielded from the chaos of the political process when it comes to accessing the health care they have earned and deserve. I hope my colleagues will support my bill to bring a much-needed leadership stability and accountability to the VHA. Secretary McDonough has made strengthening VA's workforce his top priority. There will be discussions today that will focus a lot of attention on what VA is doing to improve efficiency in firing employees. I get it. Every federal agency has its share of bad apples, and veterans need to feel assured that we are handling bad actors appropriately. However, based on the chair's invitation for this hearing, I believe we are also here today to discuss challenges VA faces in recruiting and retaining employees. I'd like to give equal attention today to the importance of holding VA accountable for improving its efficiencies in hiring employees and retaining those who have dedicated their careers to serving veterans. This hearing comes at a time when VA finds itself in a fierce competition with private sector employers, desperate for doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals. I'm hoping today's witness will be able to provide some insight about steps the department is taking to recruit and retain employees nationwide, especially at the VHA. I will encourage you at the outset to highlight areas where Congress can help VA in this endeavor. I hope this is the first of many productive subcommittee hearings in this Congress. I look forward to working closely with Chairwoman Kiggins to provide oversight and ensure that the VA is doing its very best to deliver health care and benefits to the veterans. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Ranking.
You know, they did that with the IRS, right? Removed it to where it's changed with every presidency, right?
It sounds like they have copied off a script from somewhere else. They have a template for that. I mean, they really sound like they have a template for it.
That way, just
Mervin, he is a Mr. Mervin.
Neven? Is that
It's MRV, Mr. Van.
Mr. Van? There we go.
He is a staunch Democrat, but do you see what I'm seeing is that there is such a push of socialism, you know, that it's let's extend the director of the VA instead of the 4 years between every president. Let's go away with it and just make it every 5 years for an appointment.
Yeah. So there's
Nudge here, nudge there.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You know, try to get a little toe time in there.
Yeah,
Like I said, totalitarian tango.
exactly.
I mean, you can tell he's reading a script.
Oh yeah, like he cares.
He just changed a few words around.
And the thing is, he used his time again. I guess that's how it works in politics to promote a bad bill. Bad bill.
Yeah.
Everyone,
extremely bad.
call your congressmen, your senators, representatives. Do not support his bill. Because again, it takes the freedom of the actual election process for our health care. I don't want my health care in the hands of a Democrat. And we already saw the scandal with the IRS under Obama.
That's what we're voting. That's one of the things. When you vote for president, you are voting for more than just the president. You're voting for his entire administration. You're voting for his vice president. You're voting for the cabinet that he's going to put into place. You're voting for the director of Veterans Affairs.
Yes.
And that's exactly how we voted our last honestly our last election cycle, or the two last election cycles. We were so desperate that to be heard, and we actually voted on what our issues were, which was our biggest concern to us was the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Yeah, because it's so ingrained into our lives right now, because it seems like our entire lives have been put on hold because of the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Exactly.
And it's not just y'all, it's every veteran that has to go through the VA.
Mm-hmm.
With anything.
Right. And what's bothering me is that the same policies and procedures, they're trying to put it on medical for civilians, and I can't do it. I cannot stand here and put it over here, because that means our senior citizens are going to be in trouble medically,
right?
Or anyone with chronic illness or anything like that. Children, especially children, and at this point, as we saw with a certain pandemic, conservatives were a target.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like to bring
I got you.
Yeah. I like to bring up something that Mr. Van said earlier. Sorry, he's Mr. Van from now on. But he said that he was having concerns about retention of Veterans Affairs employees, about these staunch competition that they have with the private sector. Why do you think?
Because they were dealing with burnout from the pandemic.
No.
They've been dealing with burnout for years.
They've been having burnout for years before the pandemic.
Decades, actually, since I was a CNA many years ago. Because they are overworked, underpaid, and they are told you have certain things you have to do, and you got to get them done by this time and this time and this time. So you're just going through a process.
Do you think possibly with just coming down with a punishment system on the workers of the VA, that it would also demoralize the workers? Or because the thing is, it seems like there needs to be equality of both. There needs to be a reward system, and there needs to be a punishment.
Greater rewards, stricter punishments. I think that's
the
way it's go.
I know from my experience in the civilian nursing home, which is pretty much set up the same way the VA is set up.
Mm-hmm.
You have a charge nurse, you have an LPN.
Mm-hmm.
You have their supervisor, and then you have all the little peons like me that are running around looking like little worker ants in the mound trying to take care of the eggs.
Yeah.
Which would be your residents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're so busy running around taking care of everything, changing sheets, changing beds, cleaning up after this, make sure everybody's dressed, make sure everybody's got their food.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know the people that we're dealing with. And then your LPNs and your RNs are barking orders, go here, go do this, and go do that. And then their director is saying you have only a limited amount of time.
You have kiddo to deal with. But I get that. I was just wondering is that maybe that's where the solution comes from, more of a private sector. because, when I was a waitress, I was only allowed 3 tables. 3, that's it, per shift, because it's about quality, not quantity. At that point, I would actually get better tips from the relationship and everything that I built with people. And I think the healthcare industry are more about quantity than quality. And the thing is, it's going to be reflected honestly in the numbers. They'd actually make more money, I think.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to is
Mhm.
the people who are actually in touch with the residents or the veterans or whoever, because I had a lot of veterans on my wing. We didn't have a whole lot of time to really get to know those people and see what their needs actually are, to
Mhm.
do a proper evaluation of each individual one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the time because you're in such a hurry to get everything done and everybody seen to.
Wow.
You just don't have it. If, say, a CNA
Mhm.
only had 4 residents to take care of, they would have more time to focus on those individual needs. Just like when you were a waitress and you only had 3 tables. Well, my wing, I had 8 male residents, and it was almost impossible for me to make sure everything was done. I was exhausted by the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question. Was this state run? Did it take any, or is it federal, or was it private?
It was state.
No, that's the problem.
Sounds like
It's basically run the same way the VA's run.
Yeah,
of course.
and that's why during the pandemic, in one 126 bed home, 110 veterans died up north, and it was part of the Como thing. It killed. It was a $50 million lawsuit over that, and it's the state funding and the VA funding. That's why I think it's very important to one. It's like, let private places deal with this. Just
well, if they can't get into the VA nursing home, they get pushed into the county, which is run by the state.
And the state takes federal money, and it's run here in the state of Texas by the Veteran Land Board.
Yeah,
that's right. And they don't want to relinquish that money to the VA when a bed opens up.
Yep. And you know what? Here's the thing.
See, I mean, they coincide.
Right. And I just want to tell our viewers that we are actually in an open discussion with Dawn Buckingham. We did kind of endorse her because she did know about the scandals. But yet I have yet to receive anything from her office about the numbers during the pandemic and what has been done to correct those issues, because what they discovered up north with Cuomo was apparently worse down south, and George P. Bush knew about it.
Right.
So we are trying to get those numbers actively here in the state of Texas.
Well, we need to start actively getting them for every state and start pushing all the numbers.
Right.
Exactly.
Because if it's happened in one state or 2 states, it's happening all over.
Exactly. And my problem is that y'all, everyone like our age, us millennials and Gen Xers, we're going to be old one day.
Yep.
This is going to be us. And if we don't take care of our senior citizen community, we're gonna have to deal with a lot worse, especially us veterans.
Yeah. And
I cringe. I'm already dealing with the Z's. The Gen Zs. Okay. They're Gen Zs. I'm just giving them that number. They're our last hope. And well, if you've ever seen The Walking Dead, they're the Zs.
Oh God.
Lord.
I just think like our kids' generation, are they going to be the COVID teens?
The COVID teens.
The COVID teens.
The COVID teens. The
Panteens.
Panteens.
Good.
Yeah. But you're putting up a really good point, Sally. It's almost as if veterans need the freedom to choose where they receive health care and all health care.
Yeah, so that's a good plug-in. Check out Marsha Blackburn's Demand Veteran Healthcare Freedom Act. Call your senators, congressmen. get that bill passed through the House.
Make sure you write them too. Blow
Yep.
their mail up. Get their emails. You know, sit down and write a form letter and send it to everyone on an email list.
Yep.
Blow it
Yeah.
up. One person can make a difference.
Yep.
2 people can make a big difference. And if you can get people with you to help blow these inboxes up, I mean, flood them. Flood
Yep.
them. Let them know
Absolutely.
your concerns.
That's
Let
right.
them know that you're watching this. Hold their feet to the fire because they were elected
Into
by
their
the people. They are representing us.
Walk into their offices,
Yeah.
sign their sign-in sheet, let them know you were there
And
physically.
make sure you fill out a privacy release form. We actually need to
Yes.
talk to each people how to lobby.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Let's
right.
get into it.
All right.
We will now turn to witness testimony. Testifying before us today, we have Mrs. Tracy Thurett, the Chief Human Capital Officer for the Department of Veteran Affairs. Welcome. Mrs. Thurett, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about
It froze.
Yeah, it froze on us. One
Uh,
second.
Try her again. Hey, have you noticed how many empty seats there are?
Yeah.
That's disheartening.
Well, I know my congressman's not there, but he's on 3 different committees. There's no excuse for everybody else because they're only on 2.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name again?
Tracy Thurett.
Tracy Thurett,
Yeah. I was look her up.
Chief Human Capital. Chief Human Capital Officer.
We need to know everybody on these committees. I don't know where you find that list.
I don't even know. Or probably a FOIA, which they won't respond to.
Well, that might be something for me to do in the backside in the dark.
Yeah, we do need to learn how to FOIA, definitely.
Yeah. You don't know who the Chief Human Capital Resource Officer is? Oh, Reginald. Take a look at this peasant.
Is it ready?
We are ready.
I'll do some digging and do my wonders and see if I can't come up with a list of the committees and their members.
Yeah.
All right, we're
Good
gonna
go.
We're gonna try this again.
Thank you. And let the record reflect that Mrs. Thurett answered in the affirmative. Mrs. Thurett, you are now recognized for 5 minutes to provide your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman Kiggins, Ranking Member Mervan, and members of the subcommittee. Thank you for inviting me here today to discuss VA's efforts to address accountability within the department. The Department of Veterans Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act was enacted on June 23, 2017. The act amended Title 38 of the United States Code by adding several new statutes that, among other things, established the Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection and added protections for whistleblowers, provided the Department of Veterans Affairs with additional authorities to take disciplinary action against senior executives and other covered employees based on poor performance and misconduct, and provided VA with authority to recoup relocation expenses, bonuses, and awards based on poor performance and misconduct. The Act provided VA with additional authority to take disciplinary action against senior executives pursuant to 38 U.S.C. Section 713. The authority set forth a streamlined procedure for disciplining senior executives and outlined the process by which senior executives can challenge such an action. Upon enactment, VA quickly developed and implemented policy to carry out actions in Section 713. Section 713 has and continues to be used to address poor performance and misconduct of VA senior executives. Furthermore, the Act provided VA with additional authority to take adverse actions against certain VA employees under 38 U.S.C. Section 714. This authority sets forth a streamlined procedure for disciplining certain VA employees identified by statute. Upon enactment, VA quickly developed and implemented policy to carry out adverse actions under Section 714. Since enactment of Section 714 and VA's implementation, Federal Circuit Court decisions and administrative decisions from the Federal Labor Relations Authority and the Merit Systems Protection Board.
Sally.
Yeah.
So I just Googled her name and to see if she was Republican or Democrat, see what she sways. Just I was going to Google. And the first thing that popped up is examining the domestic terrorism threat in the wake of blah, blah, blah. So when you sit there and you Google their names, they put up a bill examining the domestic terrorism threat in the wake of the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Wow.
Wow.
That's what showed up when I Googled her and I was trying to see if she was a Democrat or Republican. Wow.
So
Wow.
I guess this is a person we're not supposed to know.
Maybe. Well, you want to continue?
Yep, let's get to know her.
Have limited the scope of that authority. The FLRA ruled that the VA was required to bargain, impact, and implementation of the law prior to utilizing it against the American Federation of Government Employees bargaining unit employees, which the VA failed to do. The FLRA also upheld an arbitration award that found that Section 714 did not supersede the collective bargaining agreement requirement to provide performance improvement plans prior to taking a performance action against AFG bargaining unit members. VA is complying with the Federal Labor Relations Authority and arbitration decisions. VA and AFG reached a settlement on the decisions related to performance improvement plans involving approximately 400 employees. Impacted employees have either elected not to be reinstated and received a cash settlement or opted for reinstatement and are going through the performance improvement plan process if applicable. Any reinstated employee who does not successfully complete the performance plan period may be subject to appropriate adverse actions under Title V procedures. Following the FLRA decision cited above.
So interesting news about Miss Tracy Therrett here. She has pretty much a degree in underwater basket weaving.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. She is a Master of Science in Conflict Resolution from the George Mason University and a Bachelor of Arts in International Politics from George Washington University. So what the heck is up? Why is this in medical? What gives her education right there in medical? I don't understand it. And the thing
Well,
is,
neither one of those degrees qualify her in medical.
yeah. She received a gold medal award for outstanding workforce diversity, equal employment opportunity service from the Baltimore Federal Executive Board. She received the Eye Care Award from the Secretary of Veteran Affairs. I don't understand. I don't understand this. Why is this woman even here? It's and here's the thing. Why isn't this a veteran?
She's glorified.
All she's doing right now is reading pretty much a script of conflict resolutions that were paid off.
Yeah. And the thing is, what I'm looking at here at the Gold Medal Award for Outstanding Workforce Diversity, Equal Employment Opportunity thing, something tells me
she's a what do they call it? A closer. They go in and they cut the good people out and leave the useless ones there.
No, it just looks like she was a diversity hire to me. Mm-hmm. I'm a woman.
She is a glorified HR representative. She should not be here in this hearing.
No, I'm talking about her award here for diversity and equal employment opportunity. So she's a diversity hire. What the hell does she know? So she was just literally appointed because I have a badge. Because she believes in that stuff. There's no way in heck, even as a female, I would even touch that award.
No.
I would throw it where it came from. Because you know what? Here's
All
the
it
thing.
says is she goes in and she does an evaluation on a business and she gets rid of the people who actually give a damn and keeps the people who don't.
Yeah, but the thing is she's failing at this point because the numbers are showing otherwise. So I say let's continue and let's see if she hangs herself here.
Just,
Yeah.
Keep the popcorn ready for that. Okay.
Yeah. but just a master's in conflict resolution.
Oh, good
So
God.
do you have a master's in going into inner city
I
neighborhoods?
think I'll tell you right now, most women are experts in conflict resolution, especially if they're married.
If you have children, you're a conflict resolutionist.
No. See what she does. She goes into economically depressed neighborhoods and wins basketball competitions. That's what she does. That's how she got her master's degree.
Points out the fact, hey, you can be a rap. You can
Oh,
be
Dakota, you're a trip.
We're not so different after all, guys. Look at that.
This
What?
needs to be a South Park episode.
White women can jump. All right, let's get going.
VA engaged in retroactive bargaining with AFGE and is currently in mediation with AFGE concerning approximately 4,000 employees who received an adverse action under Section 714 prior to the FLRA and arbitration decisions. In some instances, employees against whom the department
I gotta be honest with you. If you see an acronym and everything and you don't know what it means they're trying to hide something.
Yeah.
And that's how the VA works. They sit there and they speak to veterans, they speak to the community, and it's all an acronym. And this woman is clearly trying to cover some shit up.
Yep.
My girl.
All right.
took an adverse action under Section 714, filed appeals with the Merit Systems Protection Board and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, resulting in decisions that greatly limit VA's use of Section 714. Specifically, through a number of separate decisions, the Federal Circuit Court ruled that VA could not use Section 714 for performance or misconduct that occurred prior to enactment of the Act. The MSPB must review VA's selection of penalty in both misconduct and poor performance cases when reviewing an action taken under Section 714. VA must use the preponderance of the evidence standard of proof when taking an adverse action under 714. VA must consider all relevant Douglas factors when determining reasonable penalty, and the MSPB must consider the Douglas factors when reviewing the penalties selected by the VA. Recently, MSPB, in an interlocutory appeal, held that VA was prohibited from using Section 714 to remove, demote, or suspend employees of the Veterans Health Administration who were appointed in hybrid Title 38 positions. This decision effectively prevents VA from using Section 714.
Okay, we're going to explain everything to you since she's so stupid.
Yeah, so anyway, whenever you're hired by the federal government, there's regulations that you have to follow as a federal employee. That's Title 38, Title 5.
Well, actually, under the VA, it's anything under the VA is actually under USC, United States Code 38.
Mhm.
Okay, and what she's talking about is Title 5 employees, which is federal police or federal employees. There's hybrids as well.
So
And the hybrids are for deployability reasons.
So, and the thing is, it's whenever they're in one place, they're 38. Whenever they're in another place, they're Title 5. So they can be flip-flop between rules and regulations whenever they so choose.
So this is just further proof, guys, within the VA, because the Whistleblower Act happened because of what, President Dakota?
President Obama.
No, it was
Obama?
Trump. Trump sat there and did the Whistleblowers Protection Act, didn't he?
Well, no, I thought you were talking about the persecution of whistleblowers.
No, that's like under Obama.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So my thing is that he let whistleblowers come forward and complain. And actually, we've seen it, Sally. You've seen it in the FBI. People in the FBI community, they can't even come forward because they're undoing everything President Trump has. There's no safety because if you come out,
Look at Edward Snowden.
yeah,
He come forward and he blew the whistle and started a whole bunch of shit when he spilled the beans about a whole bunch of stuff. It was to the point he had to leave the country and hide.
Yep, and that's exactly what we do here on the Logbook. That's exactly what we are doing on Conservative Sisters and Common Denominator Network. Just telling everybody, if you work and you're involved with the federal government, you see something, as Trump said, you see something, you say something.
Mhm.
If something's wrong, we're called to be courageous. We are Americans. That's in us. Be courageous.
Hoorah.
Stand up. That's it.
Hoorah.
I'm on my horse right now. Woo. Let's keep going.
For actions
that's right.
taken against hybrid Title 38 employees.
Hybrid.
VA received a final decision from MSPB yesterday. VA and/or the Office of Personnel Management has the ability to appeal the decision to the MSPB. Further, Office of Personnel Management and Department of Justice have the discretion to subsequently appeal the MSPB decision to the Federal Circuit. VA is communicating with both agencies regarding appeal options. These decisions have significantly reduced the differences between 714 and the pre-existing Title V disciplinary authorities. Due to these decisions, on April 30th of 2021, VA stopped using Section 714 to take action against AFGE bargaining unit employees, and on January 17th, 2023, VA stopped using Section 714 to take action against hybrid Title 38 employees. On April 3rd, 2023, VA will cease using Section 714 to propose new adverse actions against VA employees. The limitations set forth by the decisions highlighted above will not prevent VA from taking appropriate accountability actions when warranted by poor performance and misconduct. For adverse actions that VA would have issued a Section 714, VA is returning to the use of the Title V disciplinary authority, Section 714, and which are used throughout the federal government. VA can still demote, suspend, and remove employees when the evidence supports that proposed action. A review of adverse actions indicates that VA has consistently used all available authorities to hold employees accountable. The VA has demonstrated the ability to hold employees accountable without having to use Section 714. VA intends to use and not suspend the use of any of the authorities from the Accountability Act. VA continues to use Section 713 concerning senior executives.
Oh my gosh. However, in the week before this, in the hearing, there was a Government Accountability Office and an OIG hearing. The Government Accountability Offices and the OIG Office Inspector General are completely contradicting what this stupid idiot said. Oh my God.
Every time she says a hybrid employee, I think a genetic mutation.
Well,
Pretty much what they is.
They're all hybrid mutations right
I
now.
told you, this chick is somebody who goes in and evaluates, and the people they deem as troublemakers are the people who care, they get rid of.
Yep, and that's what they're doing. That's
all 714 is good for, is to get rid of the people who actually give a damn.
Was because they're coming after Trump. All of because of President Trump. It's not about us veterans. They're just being petty, and this woman needs to be held to the full extent, I believe, at the UCMJ because of time of war.
Shoot her.
And she's a witness?
No, she is the
no, she's a witness. She says she's testifying.
Yeah, she's the chief of the Human Capital Resource.
Chief Human Capital Resources
Officer.
Yeah.
So she's actually the chief, the head dog. And she's sitting here lying.
Like that's
all face line using acronyms, calling people hybrids.
Well, the thing is, there is a hybrid employee that is they can go bounce between state and federal. That's
yeah,
but I'm thinking genetic mutation. I'm thinking
it's the lizard people.
That's what it is. No. It's the.
I'm thinking do.
It's the new craze.
I'm thinking the
new craze by VA Comics. X-Men.
No, not even X-Men. Okay, let's not.
X-Men.
Mm-mm.
X-Men. That's what it is.
Oh, God.
With their
Well,
new
no,
name
it.
for it and everything.
I'm thinking V. I mean, this is way before you. There used to be a sitcom called V, where these aliens come down. Would eat rats and lizards and whatever else they could, and humans, but they had skins like humans. That's what I think about every time she calls somebody a hybrid.
At least it
V.
makes it entertaining at this point because she's so dry.
This chick's got no belly button, man.
Ugh. Ugh.
Let's just go. I'm so ticked listening to this one. Let's just go.
So
38 USC 731 and 723 concerning recoupment of relocation expenses, bonuses, and awards, and statutory amendments to the time periods for adverse actions against Title 38 employees will remain applicable. Under 38 USC 323 C1L, OAWP makes recommendations for disciplinary action after substantiating any allegations of misconduct or poor performance by a VA senior leader or whistleblower retaliation by a VA supervisor. These recommendations go directly to the appropriate VA official who will serve as a proposing official if any potential disciplinary action is recommended. Under 38 USC 323 F2, the VA must provide a detailed justification to the Senate and House Committees of Veterans Affairs if the recommended disciplinary action is not or initiated or taken within 60 days of receipt of the recommendation. VA instituted a process to carry out this requirement, which requires the VA official who received the recommendation to provide a detailed justification to OAWP if the recommended action is not taken. VA then develops a report that is sent to the committees that includes a summary and detailed description of the VA official's rationale for not taking the recommended disciplinary action. Data provided to this subcommittee as part of VA's testimony shows that implementation of OAWP recommendations increased from 2021 to 2022. While each case in which OAWP issued a recommendation and the responsive justification is factually unique, a review of the justifications for calendar year 2022 show that the most common rationales for not initiating or taking a recommended action are that the individual's performance between the investigated incident and the recommendation was exceptional or outstanding, the individual did not have any prior history of discipline, the individual sought guidance from leadership, human resources, or the Office of General Counsel prior to the investigated incident, and the lengthy period of time between the investigated incident and the recommendation. These rationales are consistent with a management official's responsibility to consider relevant factors such as Douglas factors or other mitigating factors when proposing and deciding a disciplinary action. Due to the significant individual privacy interests in these matters, if there are particular cases that the subcommittee wishes to discuss, VA is willing privately to brief members of staff. I'm happy to respond to any
Oh,
questions.
privately, of course. You can't sit there. What is it? Privately.
We don't want to discuss this in front of the people that we change lives on every day. We can't do that. They might.
no, we can't be transparent at all.
And I guarantee you she's going to sit there and say because it's our medical records and hide under HIPAA. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going through this abomination.
Is it almost done? Is it almost done?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Thripp. We will now
Thank
move
God
to
she's
questions. And I
done.
yield myself 5 minutes. Thank you for your testimony. Though I've only been here a short time, I've heard from multiple constituents and VA employees who are having a hard time with supervisors at VA, especially healthcare facilities. These employees are hardworking people who want to serve our veterans. However, they're leaving the VA because their supervisors aren't held accountable. You described a kind of a lengthy administrative process, just listening to, I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork involved and probably a lot of online forms. And
she didn't even know when she
doesn't know this. This committee has no idea what the fuck this woman just said.
I'm
That's-
sure
That's absolutely. They have no clue. They have no clue what she said because they're just now starting out.
no clue. Oh gosh.
Oh wow! Thank you, Mrs. Threat. Wow, that was great.
They do this on purpose because just to confuse everybody. What a freaking this woman. Oh, I want her fired. I want this freaking chief admin, human, whatever, fired. Who's non-human, lizard lady. Let's call it that.
I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch this video on my own, and I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to do some digging because it's crazy.
It sounds crazy to you, right? I mean, I'm not the only one then. Ugh.
Yeah, it sounds like these people are waiting for an eyes wide shut party in the back room.
I mean, it's propaganda.
Yep.
Yeah.
They get up there, they throw out a bunch of anagrams and thank yous and testimony for this and for the woke crowd to say, oh yeah, we're up here, we're doing our job, but we're not really doing a whole lot. We're just reading a bunch of statistics that nobody knows a damn thing about.
It's not even statistics. She's actually just reading acronyms and departments and telling everything how it works, which no, it's not lawyers.
She's reading a management manual. It sounds like just how
she
like,
at least 5 times she talked about disciplinary actions.
Well, the thing is that she's talked about removing the 14 program and that the VA can handle itself. It's not handling it. That's why this board is here. So we should just probably suck it up and finish what she has to say. Let's go. Because the Q&A.
Process these complaints. But what would you say to these employees who are kind of at the end of their rope? They followed these right steps, but then they feel like their complaints go unanswered. You know, why should they stay at the VA when they don't feel valued? And then how can we change that?
Chairwoman Kiggins, thank you for that question. We are committed to making sure that we hold senior leaders and supervisors accountable for their performance and their misconduct. If an employee feels that their supervisor is engaging in misconduct, that needs to be reported either to the Office of Whistleblower Protection or to their supervisor's chain of command. Those matters are taken seriously. They are investigated either through fact findings and administrative investigation boards or through the Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protection. While the process to investigate and gather information on the allegations may be lengthy, as soon as an action is proposed, the individual is given a period of time to respond, the action is decided, we will make sure that that individual knows that their organization and their culture of that environment is protected. We strive to be a high reliability organization, and employees need to feel safe in bringing those issues forward for attention, and we need to act swiftly using the authorities that we have, including our Title V authorities or our full Title 38 authorities to address those issues.
Okay.
What is the average length of time?
So just to ask, the Office of Whistleblower Protection sounds like the least safe place to go.
Right. It's again, the VA can investigate themselves. They're not going to sit there and investigate something bad that their organization is doing. It sounds like, and which we all know the government is actually an expert at, is not investigating themselves.
Because just as soon as you blow the whistle, you're going to have Miss T there. She's going to be coming after you with a hatchet.
Yeah.
That's what her degree's in.
Yeah. Oh, good grief. This is absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's keep going.
That's all I can say.
Let's keep going. Come on. Go.
And that entire process takes place from the time an employee puts in a complaint till the time it's resolved, would you say?
The time to take a disciplinary action is from the proposing action to the final action, 30 days under the Title V procedures and 15 days under the 713 procedures.
Thank you. And then just to change gears, so the VA, like most healthcare systems, is having a hard time with recruitment and retention.
Yeah. So, anyways, if we have to wait, how much for?
So 30 days under Title V and 15 days
Yeah,
under.
but I'm saying this is that the VA can't even answer a FOIA. And they're going to sit here and she's going to sit there and lie and tell us, oh, well, they have 30 days to do this from this time. But what is the actual time frames?
Mhm.
I guarantee you they're past 30 days.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that there's employees even sitting there and we already saw it in the last hearing that they had, is that they're not going to do anything about it. The majority of them aren't even answered anyways. 30 days, my butt. Oh.
Hell, most of them don't even know what a FOIA is. They
What
think it's
is
aluminum foil.
They probably think that's what the QAnon people wear. The 10-foot hat crowd.
Cover-
That's probably what they think it is.
Or they think it's the foyer,
My
and we're just saying it wrong.
my FOIA line duvet just keeps me safe at night.
FOIA is Freedom of Information Act, everybody. In case you know, and your state level, it's usually a public records request. Let's keep going.
Boom.
We talked a little bit about it earlier, but a lack of accountability at the leadership and supervisory level drives away some good talent and exacerbates that problem. Does the VA have the tools it needs to make sure the department and its staff are accountable and succeeding in their mission? And how can Congress just assist with recruiting talented staff for you all?
Oh, it has the tools. It does. What it lacks is the culture. Please keep going.
Chairwoman Kagans, we are grateful for the authorities that we received in the PACT Act. In the first quarter of fiscal year 23, we are seeing tremendous growth in the Veterans Health Administration and the Veterans Benefits Administration, largely by use of those authorities, as well as the onboarding surge events and the hiring events that are happening throughout the country. We also welcome additional authorities, and I know we will be having hearings this month regarding the VA Careers Act and some other legislation that I know Ranking Member Mervan had mentioned in his opening statement as well.
And then how about retention? I feel like these employees are probably becoming frustrated sometimes with this process if they have submitted complaints and they're either not resolved or they put in multiple complaints. How can we do better to retain the good staff that we do have? Are there any retention processes that we are not thinking of that we can do better with?
Stop sending money to Ukraine.
Our retention procedures to retain employees, and we are seeing lower rates of attrition in FY23 than we've seen in past years. We also welcome the other authorities that we've had to remain competitive with pay. I know there's lots of competition, especially in the healthcare field for healthcare workers. So we are looking at special salary rates and improvements to salaries that were made under the enactment of the RAISE Act as well. The other thing that I would mention with respect to retention is being able to develop our whole health and our engagement programs, the work environment, combating burnout, really lots of issues around flexibility and our work schedules. So there are lots of tools that we need to be applying to ensure that employees feel valued, they feel respected, they can bring forth issues and those issues are addressed, and they're working in a supportive work environment. I will also add a key factor in all of that is making sure that we are conducting a lot of our facilities what are called stay interviews. They're opportunities to get feedback from employees and address that feedback before somebody leaves their department. So we have many tools in place. We welcome conversations with you and other members of the committee on additional things that we can do to make sure that our workforce is supported and that we're able to both recruit and retain talent.
Making sure that we have enough talent to spread the work around so that one staff member isn't overburdened with too much, I think is important for healthcare staff. But thank you so much, and I yield to Ranking Member Mervan.
Time
out.
Is there a longstanding issue in source?
Okay, number one, if they took half the money that we have sent to Ukraine and half of the money that we have spent in military equipment that we've sent to Ukraine and used it to hire more people, more doctors, more nurses, more physical therapists, improve the damn medical care and expand the facilities and actually took care of our veterans, we might not be hearing this horse shit.
Well, the thing is that we actually have, if you go to our clinic here or our main hospital here in downtown, they're still stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
But when we were in San Diego, I loved my San Diego VA. They had way more equipment. It was way cleaner. They actually hired good people. Where if you come here, everyone is a diversity hire.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah. And Sally, you don't even need half. If you took everything that our government spends on its military industrial complex, you could pay off everyone's mortgage in here and in Canada. Okay? That's how much that is there. But
like I said,
you can take a quarter, an eighth of it, and improve it.
they need to stop sending money in foreign affairs and sticking their noses in stuff that we ain't got no damn business in. And they need to focus here at home. We need to take care of our people.
Yeah, did you know that even that's part of the hybrid element of the employees of Veteran Affairs is that Biden actually got rid of the hospitals or the doctors that are in this state. They don't have to be licensed in this state. And that's the element of the hybrid so they can actually deploy. We get it. Doctors do need to deploy within the Veteran Affairs Administration, but for like natural disasters. But, you know, so he removed that to where they could deploy federally, but they could be licensed in Virginia, but they could come here to Texas. And that's why he wanted to send them to the border. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And what, we caught
Build
one
the wall.
Did we caught one VA doctor? He was doing surgeries in Dubai.
Oh, yeah. Remember that.
A few weeks ago, we did it, and it's an OIG report because he was caught getting kickbacks. But however, a VA doctor is not getting caught doing surgeries in Dubai. I don't know.
Sounds like he was sent there.
Well, let's go ahead and kick this up.
Yep.
Mr. Van.
Mr. Van.
Source of frustration for this committee, one that predates my time in Congress, is the lack of reliable data about the number of workforce vacancies that exist in the VA. I'm told for at least 7 years, maybe longer, VA has been in the process of developing staffing models for each occupation and validating positions that show up as vacancies in the IT systems. Just yesterday, in accordance with the Mission Act requirement, VA published data indicating that there were more than 76,000 vacancies nationwide as of December 31st. Is that true? Is that a true number of positions VA needs to fill right now? Just briefly, yes or no?
The 70,000 number of positions are not fully funded positions. So there are positions in our HR system that are not encumbered, but they are not a reflection of our FTEs and the funding received for those FTEs.
Okay. What percentage of occupations across VA currently have staffing models? And how do you know if those medical...
So they just got a crap ton of money in the American Rescue Plan. Where's that money to fund it? Okay, where's the money? You shut down the VA for 3 freaking months during COVID-19. Everything went to telehealth. All the staff are at home still.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. There is no way it is being funneled and laundered through fake VA urgent cares.
Nope.
Absolutely not. No.
Not at all. We have video on those fake VA urgent cares, by the way. Go check it out. We'll probably repost it after this so you can check it out for yourself. What you got for us, Mama Sally?
I think it's just all horse shit.
This is a show. This is a total show.
Right. And the thing is all these people that are asking you questions, by the way, they're all Democrats. All of them are Democrats. Ugh, and
I mean, it's a monkey riding a dog in some kid's party. That's all it is.
Do you have any of that medication fucking all yet?
I'm
Clown, a
still
clown
getting medicated through the VA.
riding kids around on a pony.
Yep. Okay. I guess let's get over this. It's so uncomfortable.
Medical facilities and regional officers are staffed appropriately.
Ranking Member Mervan, I do not have the exact number of staffing models that are in place. I can get that information and provide it to you and your staff.
Okay. My colleagues,
Real quick.
In private. I guarantee you, in private.
But real quick, isn't anyone else think it's funny that
That's something we don't want everybody to know, so I can't tell you right here.
Yeah. Does anyone else think it's a little bit comical? A man named Mr. Van looks a bit like a pedophile, like a stereotypical version of a pedophile. I mean, come up in my Mr. Van. Just ugh. He looks like he sells.
It's kind of disheartening. He never really looks up.
He sells ice creams on the weekends.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you 100%, Sally. It's like they actually know what each other is going to say, and they're just saying it because they know no one's watching this stuff. But we are here today.
I mean, he never looks up. All you see is his view here.
Yep.
All right, let's go.
and I hear all the time from frontline employees about challenges they face with understaffing, which can contribute to lapses in patient safety and drive up employee burnout. With that, of the 76,000 that you said are unfunded, is there a percentage?
He's almost looking
has
up.
it been determined from the VA which are unfunded and which are positions that need to be filled?
Ranking Member Mervan, that report that is issued on a quarterly basis does have a distribution of funded versus unfunded full-time equivalent positions. I would be happy to brief you or members on the report and break it down into some specific areas that you'd want to discuss further and the efforts that we're doing to fill those positions.
Just from my own knowledge base, what is the purpose of keeping the unfunded positions in that data?
The human resources professionals that use the system from which that data comes may at some time in the future want to use one of those positions when they get funding to fill it. So those positions remain in the system, but we have looked at procedures to update that information and validate that data. So again, we would be happy to share with your staff any new procedures that we put in place to address those issues.
So when they transition from funded to unfunded, what is the process in place to fund those unfunded positions? Say that 10 times.
So at the local level, especially in our Veterans Health Administration, where a lot of that data that's published on a quarterly basis is broken down by facility and by occupation, there are resource management boards, and the requests come to those resource management boards to make funding determinations, and then they go into the system, identify that position, and start the recruitment action. So that's the steps in the process that is taken specifically within VHA.
So my point in honing in on that is it would appear that that is a tool to be able to.
I don't understand is this. I know it's almost over. We have almost, I think, a minute left.
Yeah,
of
less
this.
than a minute.
But I don't understand. They can be so dry about this whole issue, and then
Be callous, and then
you can crack a joke.
Crack a joke.
But you can crack a joke. You can smile, but you can't actually be serious over this issue. This is lives. People are dying. People are losing their livelihood.
I'm trying to figure out what was funny.
Yeah, I am too. It's just that sort of thing. It's a smirk. It's a smear. I don't get it. All right, let's finish this up, and then we'll talk about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Are, and as an oversight investigations, when that data is released, you look at that number and you think those are the positions that are needed, when in fact it is undeterminable what number you release because of the funded and unfunded way that the data is released. And that is why I'm kind of focusing on that, to make sure that there is a clear path with that knowledge and that data.
Ranking Member Moran, I think that's a great observation. I know in the VA Careers Act, there is a provision to improve our display and representation of that information. We would welcome an opportunity to work on you to refine that report and make it easier to understand as well as more meaningful in terms of utilization.
Thank you. And with that, I yield back.
To Medusa.
Thank you for your comments. At this time, we're going to take a short recess just to allow for other members to be able to participate. They have conflicts with committees, and we're not.
Okay, so go ahead and forward it, Dakota, just so everyone can see. There's really nothing else left on this.
Yeah, there's just that.
That's what the rest of the video is. So she's going to do her closing remarks, and then y'all can see where she sat there on Facebook and everything in that little pink dress and just took piles and pictures. They actually talked about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so
No statistics whatsoever.
touted themselves about how they're working so hard to help veterans and the VA, and that's what they did. That's everything they did.
This is how we feel like we're helping VA without any numbers, and like the timelines. They wouldn't give any true timelines. However, the week before we heard this, I demand. I'm going to demand her dismissal at the next. Yeah, event. Guys, that just brings us to our events section, guys. On April 3rd at 6:30 in the evening, check our Facebook page. We will be there as the Logbook at a Concerned Veterans for America hosting of Congressman Morgan Luttrell. And Morgan Luttrell is on the House Committee of Veteran Affairs. So it's time that we sit there and hold them accountable and hear what he has to say, what is going on from his perspective. And we will be there and we'll come up. And I believe we did the last town hall. Miss Mama Sally was there too. And we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
I'm pretty fried right now over all that incompetence. So
Yes, I need a VA appointment over that. I lost.
Y'all ought to be proud of me. There were so many smart ass things I could have said about those folks, and I refrain. But you know, the hybrid V, and then you know Miss Medusa there, and then Eeyore. It's just okay. How many scripts can you read from where they all start sounding alike?
Yeah, it was a complete echo chamber in there. There was no real questions ever asked at all. And they're proud of it. And the thing is that they know no one's watching this. Look at that. How many people have viewed this on YouTube?
Subscribers, there's 15 likes. Where's the views?
14K views.
Ooh.
1.4K views. Okay.
Not in 9 days.
In 9 days. We've got more of that and we have only 600 followers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Subscribers.
Okay. No one's paying attention to this and they know it. That's why they're sitting here going off scripts and doing this bullshit. People get involved. Know that these things are out there. And I'm going to tell you some of on you, veterans and civilians.
Yep.
This is your tax dollars.
Yep.
You're bitching about
you know you want to just let them keep sending it to Ukraine and laundering money over there. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah.
Stand up and make your voices heard, folks.
Yep. And if y'all want to learn how to actually get your voice heard and hone it in, you can email us up at the logbook at protonmail.com or send us a message. Heck, you can even send Mama Sally a message on the Common Denominator Network.
And if Mom Sally's in your town, she'll stop by and rub your feet.
Oh, your trip. Your trip.
Well, thank you, Mama Sally, for being with us tonight. I hope to do more of these town halls with you.
Absolutely. Yes.
And good night, folks. Thank you for joining us again. If y'all need anything, you know where we are. Please reach out and remember to like, follow, and share. and tell your friends.
Absolutely.
All right.
We
Good
love
evening.
you. See something, say something.
That's
Love you.
right.